DOA 6 is only bad for a couple of reasons, and that's the worst part about it. Hey yo, what's going on guys? It's your boy EmeryReigns here, and I decided to make an updated video talking about my thoughts on DOA 6 and why I believe that DOA 5 Last Round is the superior Dead or Alive game. Throughout the years, people have given me a lot of shit because I've given DOA 6 a lot of shit, and people have truly failed to realize that the reason why I've always been so hard on the game is because I love the game. If you look at my YouTube channel, all of the different work and content that I've done for the game, there's no way you're going to tell me that I do not like Dead or Alive. However, I've always been very vocal about why I believe that DOA 6 is truly not as good of a game as it really could have been. Given the correct resources, DOA 6 could have been an amazing game. DOA 6 visually is beautiful. To this day, DOA 6 still looks amazing, amongst one of the best looking 3D fighting games out there, and it came out on the last generation. So there's no telling what DOA 7 or a reboot could look like if they were given the proper resources and time and the proper staffing to make a better game. So I'm really hoping that we get a better DOA game in the future. DOA 6 is only bad for a couple of reasons, and that's the worst part about it. First and foremost, the break gauge is one of the worst additions to the Dead or Alive series, and I stand on that. The reason why is because it didn't have to be a bad feature. It was a bad feature because of the way it was implemented into the game. However, with that said, DOA 6 was the first version of the game that actually had a meter system implemented. There was nothing like fighting people and knowing what they were going to do, knowing the hit level of a string, knowing how they were going to mix something up. Every time you guess in DOA, a lot of the times it's bullshit, but a lot of times it is educated. In DOA 6, you can hit one button, you can hit back in the break button, and it avoids high, both mids, and low attacks with one hold. The fact that you start the round with half of your resources already given to you, it's not going to take much to get that break hold back. If you look at a lot of competitive matches especially, you'll see how often the game was slowed down because of the constant use of break holds. Not only did it destroy DOA's depth of the game in my opinion, but if you ask anyone who's ever played DOA competitively and understand how the game truly works at a high level, you'll understand why the break hold system was just not necessary. But truly being that you start with so much of the meter, you start with so much resources when the round starts. How are you supposed to feel like you're working for that break hold, avoiding all of these things that you've never been able to do before, and you're just starting the round with one? Like, I think that they should have started you with 0 meter and force you to grow your meter over time, and that way you can earn these resources. The next thing for me is just the lack of innovation that they put into this game. Like, I feel like if you look at some of the animations for the Fatal Rush and just the break system in general, I feel like there was just no love put into it. Like, you guys know how when you play Tekken 8, and again, I'm not a Tekken 8 glazer, you guys know I'm not the guy to glaze Tekken at all ever, but you gotta give it to him. As annoying as the heat system is, that shit looks good. The effects look good, everything just looks good, and it feels good when it lands, especially when it's not you that's getting hit by the shit. The netcode was some cheeks, I'm telling you guys. Imagine playing DOA and some of these characters have 9-frame jabs, and all you want to do in the world is hold them, and you're fighting somebody in a 2-bar, and you will not get those holds. I'm telling you, the netcode in this game is horrible. The music, oh my god, DOA has been known to have some bangers, but I don't know what the hell happened with the OST for this game. I really just was not a fan of it, except for Unforgettable. Unforgettable is fucking heat. I would just sit there for hours and hours in training listening to that song because I thought it was just the sickest shit ever. And Unforgettable itself is an amazing stage, one of the best stages in the game, one of the only good stages in the game. Like, they even took modes out of the game. Like, how do you take tag out of DOA? Like, it's DOA. You can't have DOA without tag. It's a big part of the game's identity. There's nothing like sitting with your homies and fighting the computer and tag, just having fun. There's no tag in the game. And the worst part about it is that apparently there were files found suggesting and indicating the tag was supposed to be in the game at some point in time, and it was just never there. You really can't truly get me to believe that you guys put your best foot forward with this game, especially when you took out modes that just did not have to be removed for any reason. And one of the most glaring issues is just the simple fact that Team Ninja stopped supporting the game after a year. I mean, how do you stop supporting your game that you just threw a world championship for after a year? You just left us dead in the water after a year. Like, listen, I understand you got to cut your losses sometime, but sometimes you also have to be like, listen, people love this game, and they really love this game. We can't possibly just abandon it and just not update it ever again, can we? And it's just like, damn, we couldn't even get 2 years. We couldn't even get 2 seasons. If you look at the character select screen, you can clearly see where there were other characters supposed to be. Another thing that they added to DOA 6 that was super annoying to deal with was the ground game. DOA 4, the ground game, was super over the top. They definitely pushed it a little too far in terms of what kind of guaranteed situations you can get from teching people up, and also putting people in situations where they were forced to tech up. DOA 5 kind of alleviated this in last round and made it so that there were certain situations where this could happen, but it wasn't that often. DOA 6, they made it so that you can never really tech your opponent up off the floor confidently. It's always a mix-up, and you're usually going to be negative if you try to text somebody up in that game. And also, when it comes to characters, they took out a bunch of characters that are just so familiar to the franchise that it's so upsetting that they're not in the game. How can you take Leon out of the game? Like, it's Leon. You can't take him out of the game. I feel like the lack of new character designs in this game was a really big letdown for me. I'm used to seeing new characters introduced like Phase 4 and Rig and Mila and all these sick ass characters, and then you fucking put Diego in the game. So this one isn't really game breaking for me, but this is really something that kind of annoyed me because up until DOA 5 and 6, DOA has always had a pretty decent story, at least one that you can follow. DOA 5 kind of started this thing where they were using like this little map guide where you had to click little bubbles to do certain missions. DOA 6 took this and just completely outdid themselves. I don't know how they made this mode so unbearable to want to play. If you guys play DOA 5 at all, you'll know that that was the first DOA game that actually implemented a proper sidestep. The whole point of doing a sidestep is you should be able to avoid moves that do not track. Kind of similar to Tekken, DOA 5 worked in a fashion of you had to know when to step. It was possible to sidestep everything that was sidesteppable. However, depending on the speed of it, if you didn't sidestep at the right time, you would get clipped. A perfect example of this is Christie's forward punch string in DOA. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, a comment, and a subscribe on it if you're new. Please definitely be sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section because I'd love to know what you guys think about this topic. Catch y'all later.